Hello everybody and welcome back to Expert Examiner IELTS. My name is Glyn and in this video we're going to do some more speaking feedback, this time with Guli's speaking test. Let's get straight into it. Good afternoon, my name is Glyn. Would you please tell me your full name?
Yes, good evening. My full name is Gulnuhal Begim Abduhalilova, but you can just call me Guli.
Okay, thank you, Guli. Now, in this first part of the test, I'm going to ask you some questions about yourself. Do you work or do you study?
Currently, I'm a 10th grade student at
Well, currently I'm a 10th grade student. Love this pre-modification, a 10th grade student. I don't know how old a 10th grade student is. Somebody asked me in the chat, like, oh, how old is this candidate? I don't know. Different schools have different grades. I don't know.
specialized at school, and I
don't quite get that specialized at school. Let's just listen to that again.
Currently, I'm a 10th grade student at specialized at school.
At a specialized school. So we've mentioned this many times about candidates from Uzbekistan, this ed ending, specialized. It's not always id. Sometimes it's id, like wanted, decided. Sometimes it's d, specialized. Sometimes it's t, watched. It is not always id, but for some reason, many candidates from Uzbekistan always want to use this id, specialized, at a specialized school. I'm not exactly sure what a specialized school is. I mean, I kind of... I know because I lived in Russia for a long time, and so I understand you have some schools that are like completely generic, let's say, and then some schools that specialize in certain subjects. So I guess that's what the candidate means. But I only know this because of my familiarity with Russian culture. So, you know, a much clearer way of saying this is like, I study at a school which has a special emphasis on blah, 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 or a school which specializes or which focuses on, I don't know, those subjects. Which I'm currently a 10th grade student in a school that specializes in maths and physics. You know, that would be a clearer answer.
And I have been studying there for 3 years.
Cool, nice present perfect continuous. Okay, nice bit of development, great. And what subjects do you study at school?
My main subjects are mathematics and English.
Cool, very clear. Pronunciation is very clear. Pronunciation does feel a little bit staccato, just tiny bit staccato. My main subjects are...
mathematics and English.
My main subjects are mathematics and English. It just feels slightly robotic, just slightly robotic, not fully connected.
And these are the most interesting for me, so I chose them.
And what do you like most about your school?
There are many facilities and opportunities to students at my school.
Again, it feels like the candidate is very well prepared, maybe almost too well prepared.
Such as our teachers always encourage us to study hard.
Cool, encourage somebody to do something, good grammar.
And they can give some encouragement to learn about more things.
Okay, they always encourage... Oh, yeah, that's fine. They give us encouragement to learn about more things. Okay.
And my school's condition is also perfect. We can use some computers and the laptops to our personal improvements.
Yeah, I didn't quite get the main idea there. The condition of the school is perfect. Well, what does that mean? Does it mean it's new or what? And then you say like you can use you can use computers and laptops, but that's not connected to the condition of the school. So it's like sometimes candidates prepare these answers to try to maximize their language, but they kind of then lose like the main idea of the question. So I don't know what that means when you say that the condition of the school is perfect. We can use computers and laptops, because you know the things that you have available to you, computers and laptops, isn't the same as the condition. And the condition is really, you know, is it in a good state? Is it in a good condition? Is it new? Is it does everything, you know, does the building look shiny? Does it work? Is it clean? Or a bad condition where maybe it's aged or it looks old or something like that. So yeah, a little bit confusing. And is there anything you'd like to change about your school?
Yes, in the future, if I have a chance, I will definitely change some part of the school. Like
So a bit of the audio is breaking up.
I will construct one special building for all of the students to just relax and do some recreational activities.
Okay, fine. I mean, it's more hypothetical, you know. Is there anything you'd like to change? Hypothetical. Candidate here seems to be speaking about like the real possibility that she will have the chance to construct this place. That's not exactly what the question is asking for. The question is asking for just hypothetical things. So, you know, language, not like if I have a chance, I will do this. For me, that's not the most appropriate language. The most appropriate language here is it would be nice if we had a building for the students to, you know, relax and blah blah blah. Mhm. Mhm. Let's talk about your hobbies now. Do you have a lot of hobbies?
Yes, I have many hobbies. For example, the playing basketball and the listening to music,
Playing basketball and the listening to music? Not sure of this article, the here.
which are the most enjoyable for me. Like I can feel free by listening to music or watching some kind of new series. I
Okay, we're moving on now, right? We started with basketball, then we went to music, and now I can feel free by watching some type of series.
I feel full of pins after that activities.
I feel full of something.
New series. I feel full of pins after that activities.
I feel full of pins. And after that, activities, activities is plural. So after those activities, fine. After these activities, fine. But not after that activities or this activities. And I'm not sure. I feel full of pins. I just don't know what you're saying there. It sounds like maybe you're trying to activate some idiomatic language. I don't know. But I don't know what it is. And again, candidate seems to be focused on, you know, trying to activate language. And I just think, yeah, just relax and answer the question. You started with basketball. Yeah, I have a lot of activities. My favorite one is basketball. Then develop. How often do you play it? Who do you play it with? Where do you play it? Why do you like it? Maybe mention another one. Yeah. Anyway, let's keep going. And how have your hobbies or interests changed since you were a small child?
Mhm. If I talk about my childhood, as a child, I had
Cool. As a child, I had nice.
memories and other hobbies. Like
Again, another hobby. So again, this is a problem with singular plural. Another we use with singular nouns. Another hobby, yes. Some other hobbies, plural. So twice now we've had these mistakes with singular nouns versus plural nouns, like that activities, another hobbies.
playing outside with my friends or hike and seek. These kind of games were my favorite ones.
Cool. These kind of games were my favorite ones. Nice. And
However,
I love the use of ones here as a good bit of substitution. That's good for fluency and coherence.
as I grew older, I have new hobbies related to
Cool. As I grew older, nice subordination there, complex sentence.
improving myself, like searching for new information, which are really useful for me. This is also my hobby.
Cool. So yeah, candidate did, and again, seems to be trying to, you know, target the language aspect of the test. Again, you just keep it simple. When I was younger, I used to da 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 da. And again, where did you do it? Who did you do it with? What did you like about it? That's We can keep our ideas simple here. We don't need to, you know, as I grew older, I finally then branched out and I developed and blah blah blah. We just focus on the subject. What did you do when you were younger? Okay. Now let's talk about happiness. Do you consider yourself to be a happy person?
Yeah, exactly.
Not exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally. Yeah, definitely. But not exactly.
I feel a happy person as a happy person
I feel a happy person. I feel as a happy person. I feel like a happy person. I am a happy person. Those are better.
because I have many things which I wanted, and
Sounds. I have many things that I wanted. Oh, maybe. Ah, I see what you mean. I have, you know, many things that I want. Maybe is better.
my parents always support me in every situation. Like if I face some failure, they encouragement. Uh,
If I face some failures, some parts the audio is not perfect, but let's listen again.
Always support me in every situation. Like if I face some failures, they
If I face some failures,
encouragement. Always support me to do another tasks.
Their encouragement always supports me to do another task. Again, candidate doesn't need to use such complicated language, and it's going wrong here. Their encouragement supports me. Well, the encouragement doesn't, well, maybe the encouragement can support you. But again, to do another tasks, we have that problem again with singular and plural, not another tasks. Some other tasks or other tasks, another task.
Being responsible, being more responsible.
And do you like making other people happy?
Yes, absolutely.
Great. Fantastic use of absolutely.
When I see happy people, I also feel what's delightful.
I feel delightful. Again, it just feels like the candidate's trying to activate difficult language. I don't know what it means when I see happy people. I feel delightful. Maybe I feel delighted. Maybe. Yeah.
So that I try to make happy people.
I tried to make happy other people. Problem with the word order there. I tried to make other people happy, not make happy other people. Examples. I don't know if the candidate will, but it would be good to give an example here. Like, when it's my brother's birthday, I often buy him a present, and during the year, I often try to pay attention to the type of things that he likes and doesn't like, and that makes it easier then for me to buy a meaningful gift. And the look on his face when I see that he's happy with the present that I've given him, it just really warms my heart. That would be a nice fuller answer, but let's see if we get an example.
Like helping them with some
helping them with some task, but again, it's not quite detailed enough.
Or give my hand in their
Again, give my hand, to give somebody a hand is an idiomatic expression that means to help. But again, it seems like the candidate is focused more on activating language and isn't quite thinking about how to develop the question fully.
Their struggles.
Yeah, give them a hand with their struggles, help them with some tasks. There's not detailed enough information, and that will count again. When I hear people using this vague or generic language, I sometimes think, well, maybe the candidate doesn't have enough vocab to speak specifically about things. Why'd you like that film? Oh, because it was good. Okay, what was good about it? It was very interesting. What was interesting? The characters. Okay, why were the characters interesting? Oh, because, I liked them. And it's like, with lower level learners, they often have difficulty, drilling down, going into specifics. Now, I know the candidate isn't a lower level learner, that's for sure. It might just be a technique thing, or she might be overly focused on language, but details are nice. Specific details. And what do you do if you're feeling, instead of just helping someone with a task? I have a lot of friends who struggle with their homework, for example. Now, luckily, I get really good scores in my mathematics. So, if my friends have some problems, I invite them over to my home. We have a cup of tea together. I try to explain as best as I can and try to help them with their homework. And I think they appreciate this. That's a specific detail, not just I help them with some tasks or I give them a hand with some struggles. A little bit sad.
Usually, I just want to discuss some topic with my father because we have some comments, and
we have some commons. Don't know what that means. We have some commons.
He gives me more motivation to making happy me.
Gives me motivation to make me making happy me. Just didn't quite get that point.
Happy me and happy.
Sorry.
And he gives me more
he gives me more what?
Motivation to making happy.
He gives me more motivation to making happy. So we've kind of lost coherence a little bit. Yeah, and it's always a pity when you see candidates who obviously know English very well, but they are taking the test almost too seriously, and they're really trying to show off and activate and I don't mean show off in the negative sense, but they're trying to demonstrate their high language level. But sometimes when candidates try too hard to do that, the effect is that you just lose coherence, and it's like, well, what? So always keep in mind that question. The most important thing when somebody asks you a question and you give an answer, the most important thing, the first thing we want to get right is that we are on topic, and that the person listening could then theoretically go away and say, oh yeah, when that person is sad, she usually da 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 because da 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 da, right? And I'm not sure I could do that. I would say, okay, when this person is a bit unhappy, she speaks to her father because something to do with commands, but I'm not sure. So the communicative achievement is the first thing you want to focus on.
Me, and it's just minutes for me also.
Again, a bit of an audio breakup. Okay, thank you. Now, in this next part, okay, so some comments on part one, first of all. Candidate's pronunciation is very nice. At times, it becomes a little bit staccato, especially when she's attempting more complex sentences, like in those sentences like when I am or as I grow older. Sometimes the pronunciation becomes less connected, but the phonology is amazing. She has an amazing phonological range, I will say that. Intonation is also quite nice. It's not fully sustained, but the intonation is appropriate. I love the thing, absolutely. It sounds, through her pronunciation, it sounds like, yeah, I can feel that she's telling the truth there. Grammar, some attempts at complex grammar, sometimes with a mixed with mixed success, I would say. Some of the complex grammar, like encourage somebody to do something, works. Other bits of complex grammar, they tend to go a little bit wrong, like strange word order, like make happy somebody else instead of make somebody else happy. Singular and plural is a little bit of a frustrating mistake. Candidates at higher levels should be able to tell the difference between like this and those, or that and these, and things like this, like which ones we use with singular, which ones we use with plural. Yeah, higher level learners really should know that, and it's something I didn't notice when I was doing the test. Vocabulary seems she seems comfortable enough accessing that vocabulary and using it. Sometimes it just feels a little bit like she's trying to heighten the vocab, and that stops her from being able to really go into specifics. So she's focusing on things like face failure, and like if they have some struggle and give someone a hand, she's focusing on using that. But the problem is she's not going into detail, and that makes me think that there is a limitation in vocab. Oh, I help my friends when they face some difficulties or if they have some type of struggle period. It's like, yeah, okay, but you have to go deeper and you have to give details to show off that vocab more, to be more specific, not just generic language, but with specific language. And that kind of goes into fluency and coherence too. Candidate's length of answers, decent. Her fluency is decent, not a perfect flow, but she does show she seems comfortable extending her answers. It's just a bit more on topic and a bit more detail would be really, really nice. But let's get to part two. The candidate needs to talk about a time when she had to complain about something. This will be a nice test of grammar because it's past time, and we'll see how much flexibility she has. Cool. And also at the end there, she has to say whether she was satisfied with the outcome or not. So some type of emotive language, maybe, but let's see what the candidate produces. To complain about. Okay, so that's the end of your preparation time. To remind you, you will have between 1 and 2 minutes to give your talk, and I will let you know when the time is up. Can you start speaking now, please?
Well, now I'm going to talk about my favorite dress, which I.
I'm going to talk about my favorite dress?
Well, now I'm going to talk about my favorite dress.
Is she saying it sounds like favorite dress, but I'm not quite sure. One more time.
Well, now I'm going to talk about my favorite dress.
Press? So yeah, but a word or two has escaped me there, but those are important words. I like, starting with I'm going to talk about. I think that's a nice, simple, easy way to start. I just missed because of the pronunciation. I don't know if she's saying favorite dress or something press or something.
Which I felt frustrated due to its badly quality.
Which I felt frustrated due to its badly quality. Again, simplify, make things easier for me to understand, please.
If I'm not mistaken, 2 or 3 months ago,
Cool, if I'm not mistaken, all that's good.
I purchased it from our local.
Notice this purchased. Again, purchased it. We've had specialized, and now we've had purchased. Purchased it. Purchased it with a t. Purchased it. Purchased it.
Bazaar. Firstly, I was hesitated, which was
I was hesitated. I was hesitating. I was hesitant.
really great for me. After that, I chose one great dress,
Okay, it is a dress.
which seemed to me really great.
Which suit to me really greatly. You know, not suit to somebody, but suit me. It suited me well, maybe, or just it suited me.
However, when I opened it,
Notice this open it again, open it instead of opened. When I opened it, so we've had specialized, we've had purchased, and we've had opened. So that is a clear systematic error with this ed stuff.
my house, I saw some problems related to its material and the quality.
Some problems related to its preel. Again, it just missed that word.
Some problems related to its material and
Related to its preel? I just didn't hear it.
the quality, because they showed me another one, but when I opened the pocket,
Because they showed me another one when I opened the pocket. Now, again, I know pocket is the thing that you have in your jeans, in your trousers. It's the place where you put your hands when you're cold, or you might put your wallet in your pocket. Plastic bag or bag is not pocket in English. This is an L1 transference error. I know in the Russian language the word is paket, and so maybe, you know, many people in Uzbekistan speak Russian, or at least Russian has had a big influence on Uzbek culture and language and so on. So maybe in Uzbekistan it's also paket, which people think, oh, if it's paket in Russian or in Uzbek, it must be pocket in English. It's not. That's an L1 transference error. It's not pocket.
at my house, at my home.
So again, I'm still struggling to think like, well, what's wrong with the dress now?
I saw some problems related to its also appearance that
So we've had like, oh, there's a problem with the quality, a problem with appearance, but what exactly was the problem?
color was not matched my appearance.
The color was not matched my appearance. I don't know what that means. Again, you could simplify it, right? So a couple of months ago, I bought a dress at a bazaar. Now, when I saw the dress, it looked amazing. It was like red and it was really high quality material. And I thought, great. But then when I agreed to buy it, I took it home, I opened the bag, and I saw that the color was different and that the quality was different. So I think that they showed me one dress, but then when I bought it, they actually sold me a different dress. And that would be clearer for me to understand.
So I felt disappointed, and I understood I didn't have to or need to take on the or buy something from.
Not I didn't need to, but I shouldn't have bought. So that past modal is a tricky bit of grammar, but not didn't need to. There's a difference between I didn't need to, there was no obligation, and I shouldn't have, which is what we use when we make a mistake. I shouldn't have bought it. I shouldn't have bought it, not I didn't need to buy it.
Our local market, and I next day I went to the market and complained about these problems.
Cool, I complained about these problems, fine, but go into detail. Did you speak to the seller? What did you say exactly? Use some reported speech. I told her that it was completely unacceptable that she should sell me this thing, and then she tried to pretend that she didn't know, blah, blah, blah. So details into that conversation would be nice.
To that manager, then they tried to make
Okay, we do have a bit of that.
happy and try to explain their that situation.
I know, but instead of saying they tried to explain the situation, tell me how they explained the situation. That would be nice.
After that, I understood them, and I had some experience when I wanted to purchase something. What before going to my house, I had to check that is it correct or not.
The audio's breaking up.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, so comments on part two. I can't say that it's a fully satisfying story about something, but I do know the main ideas. She bought a dress. Uh, the dress that she bought was not the same dress that she saw in the bazaar. She went back, she complained, and they tried to explain. So again, we're lacking in those key details to get a higher mark. But the candidate used some past time, not a great amount of flexibility there, unfortunately. Fluency does break down a little bit. Originally when I tested the candidate, I thought, yeah, she's probably just at that like band 7 for most things, and maybe band 8 for pronunciation. I still think her pronunciation is very strong, but I'm now that I'm re-listening to it, I'm kind of thinking, well, the fluency and coherence, the answers aren't always that satisfying. Maybe that should drop a little bit. The vocab isn't quite precise or detailed enough. Maybe that drops a little bit, and the grammar, I don't know if we have enough range for the band 7. So I'm leaning closer now towards the 6. But let's see how she does in part 3. That might push me back up to a 6.5 or even back to a 7. Let's see. So, you've been talking about a time when you had to complain about something. Let's talk about complaints now. What are some things that a lot of people often complain about?
Mm-hmm. In my opinion, more and more people tend to complain about.
Cool. So the language is good, right? Functional language. In my opinion, more and more people tend to complain about. I just don't know how much of it is naturally, spontaneously emerging from the candidate and how much of it is like a pre rehearsed thing. Like, in my opinion, people nowadays tend to, and all functional language has that thing where it's like, well, is that rehearsed? Is it memorized language, or is it spontaneous? Is it produced in the moment? For me, it's okay. It works. It's okay. I think her delivery of it makes it feel a little bit rehearsed, but it's appropriate. It's okay.
Special things or the things which are required higher money.
The things which are required higher money, the things which cost more money, not higher money, but more money, and not required. I don't know, things that require higher money, things which cost a lot.
Such as the devices like mobile phone, tablets, or
Cool, we get examples now.
the computers, because these devices require higher money to.
Okay, but we're repeating ideas now, require higher money. But why do people complain about things that cost a lot of money?
Purchase them, and they try too hard for achieving these things. So when they don't face the situation which make them happy, they try to complain about that. And
When they don't face the situation that makes them happy, they try to complain about that. Still, I'm not quite sure why people complain about things that cost a lot of money.
they also feel unhappy due to these problems.
And is it normal for people in your country, yeah, not fully developed there with coherence, country to complain at a restaurant, for example, if they got a meal that they didn't like?
I don't think so, because
Cool, love this. I don't think so, and I really like the candidate's intonation. I don't think so. You can kind of hear that hesitation in the pronunciation because she's saying no, and that's the type of intonation that we often use when we say no. Really, really nice pronunciation, nice intonation.
because my country's people are really friendly, and they don't want to express their negative of the situation to
Again, audio is just cutting out a little bit.
other people, especially in restaurants. We always try to we try to explain our situation greatly, and
Try to explain our situation greatly. I'm not quite sure about this adverb greatly. Try to explain our situation greatly.
if they understand, we are happy. But usually, we don't want to this.
And what do you think's the best strategy when complaining? Do you think it's better to be polite, or do you think it's better to be a little more aggressive?
I think being more the what more adapting situation with positive mood and the opinion is
Being more adapting the situation with a positive mood. Again, I like that you started with this gerund as a subject. Being more dumb is dumb. That would be fine. Being more is but being more adapted in a positive situation. Again, it just feels like you're trying to throw in too many bits of language, and it just doesn't. I can't make sense of it.
more good compared to aggressive
More good, better, better, not more good.
behavior, because this is also useful the person's well-being, and this person doesn't feel stressed or depressed due to
Again, stressed, depressed. There is that limitation in that phonological range, which, I would say her pronunciation mostly is at a band 8, but those repetitive mistakes with this id all the time, and maybe some aspects of the speech which aren't connected, maybe pulls that pronunciation down a little bit now to a 7 for me. And again, I'm not, candidates using words like well-being, which are, buzzwords, popular words that candidates often like to use in their exams. But I, I don't know. The question is, is it better to be more polite or more aggressive? And she's saying that you should have you should approach the situation in a more positive way. But I don't feel like she's answered the question directly.
get some problems. So for solving some problems related to one specific problem, they have to be polite, I think.
Okay, so now we get that direct answer, but it's a lot of padding. There's a lot of language in there, but we don't really explain fully the idea. Now, this often happens with younger candidates too, because when you're younger, you're there learning the language, and so as a language learner, you're focused on memorizing bits of language. In my opinion, to my mind, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I remember, or people tend to do this more nowadays compared to the past. But the substance of the answer, I guess younger people don't, or maybe I know myself as a 16 or 17-year-old person, I didn't have a lot of substance to my opinions. I couldn't always explain my opinion clearly because I often just didn't have an opinion. And it is difficult sometimes for candidates who are taking IELTS, especially in part 3, because they just don't, they don't think about some of these issues too much, about whether it's better to complain aggressively or diplomatically. And so the students then fall back on the academic nature of learning English, of like the formulaic use this language, use this language, use this language, but the substantive answer to the question is just missing. And can you think of any situations where maybe it's not appropriate to complain?
Yes, usually I know some people who are
Again, just notice, usually I know some people. I don't know what it means. Like, I usually know some people. Yeah.
who make the situation the worst. All the
So, in what situations is it not appropriate to complain? You might say, like, for example, if a friend cooks you dinner, right? It's important. If you don't like the food, it's important not to hurt their feelings or not to complain. Right? That's a nice, simple example. Or, if somebody buys you a present and, you don't really like it very much, but you understand that they bought this present for you because they like you and they appreciate you, and you're just happy that they bought you a present. So even if you don't like what they give you, you shouldn't complain here because it feels like you are ungrateful. That's a clear answer, rather than, usually I know some people who make the situation worse. I don't, yeah, again, there's just not a clear answer there.
so this is not what biggest problem. Like you said above about the meal, it's also uh, it is not the what's trouble for them. They can purchase another one, but they try to express their negative sides and show.
So the question is, in what situations is it not appropriate to complain? And I don't feel like we have an answer.
What's the behavior to others.
Now, one way of complaining in 2025 is to leave negative reviews about a company online. Do you think companies care about these reviews?
Yes, usually a lot of companies care about these problems and what know about that reviews, because they want that companies want to improve that company's quality and
The company wants to improve the company's quality. Okay, but how is that connected to them caring about the reviews?
products quantity to telling them to customers. So firstly, they think about some problems to solve them, and after that, they try to explain the situation. Yeah.
What are some, yeah, again, I'm not fully satisfied with the answer there. And it's nothing against the candidate. The candidate is a lovely, lovely person. I just think maybe the topics are difficult for her, or maybe she's just so language focused. But again, I'm not a mind reader. I'm not the candidate's teacher. As an examiner, all I can say is that, yeah, the answer is not fully directly answered. Why that happens, only the candidate knows. I can speculate and think maybe she's young, maybe she hasn't thought about it before, maybe she doesn't have an opinion, maybe she's so busy thinking about, trying to activate good language. Maybe those things are true. I don't know. But as an examiner, I can say, yeah, question is, kind of on topic. The candidate is trying to talk about it, but isn't really saying something meaningful. Some solutions that can.
What
Oh,
showed me
sorry
and
about that.
the person's well-being who make the situation one, but they
Sorry, I accidentally clicked the wrong part, so I just need to find where we are again.
try to
About a company online. Do you think
a lot of companies care about these problems and what know about that reviews, because they want that companies want to improve that company's quality and
okay, maybe she is, she's kind of on topic where she's saying, yeah, the companies care about the problem that the reviewers are talking about rather than the reviews. But again, I'm kind of guessing and inferring this from the candidate's answer. I don't think she's explaining it like perfectly clear, but she is kind of on topic.
the products quantity to telling them to customers. So firstly, they think about some problems to solve them, and after that, they try to explain the situation. Yeah.
What are some solutions that companies have or might have if they receive a negative review? They can offer to return the money, to give them a refund. They can also offer to replace the product. They could issue them an apology. All of those are possible answers. Simple, easy to understand answers.
I think firstly they have to what
It's not what do they have to do, it's what are some different ways, some different solutions.
they have to learn about the problems.
They have to learn about the problems. I don't know if that's a solution to an online complaint or an online negative review.
Which are really bad to people. If that's what the effects and the results are really bad, they have to fix that problems by
Again, that problems.
finding true solutions. Like
Again, by finding true solutions. But that's the question, right? The question is, what are some possible solutions? And you're saying, oh, they have to find some true solutions. I'm asking you, what are those true solutions? What are possible solutions?
if people express negative opinion about it and what clothes, they have to learn about that material or the appearance and the colors. I think this is more good.
Okay, again, she's trying to extend and trying to give examples. Decent attempt.
This is really good.
Okay, thank you. That is the end of the test. All right, so I notice I seem a little bit negative in my feedback. I hope the candidate it doesn't take it personally. I understand, right? If somebody's giving some negative feedback, you can always think like, oh, who are you to criticize me? I'm trying my best. Sure, this isn't a criticism of you, candidate. I think you speak English amazingly well. You're young, you have so much more time ahead of you also to get better and better and better and better. And I have no doubt that, in a year or even in 2 years' time, your English is going to be absolutely phenomenal. As you get a bit older and you start, reading more about these different issues, these wider world issues, I think you will learn to improve your coherence a bit more. Yeah, you're a very, very good language learner, but I'm trying to give some objective feedback here. So let's go into scores, and I'm going to change the score. I originally thought the candidate deserved a 7, but I'm changing my mind. 6 for fluency and coherence. While you use a nice range of connectors, or to say connectors, while you use a nice range of connectors and try to develop your answers, many of your answers don't fully satisfy the demands of the question. You often rely on let's say slightly generic answers. So, they should find some true solutions. What are these solutions? Oh, they should think about the problems and offer some true solutions. Like, you find it difficult to really go into detail, but I think you do have enough for a 6. I think the pace, the speed of your speech is more or less fine. There are some mid-sentence hesitations, but okay. I think enough for a 6. And I definitely think, if you could improve that coherence part, the meaningful answers to the question, I think that would push you to a 7, because I think your fluency probably maybe have enough for a 7 for fluency, but that coherence is pulling you down. Lexical resource, again, I'm going to go with 6. So, for pretty much the same reason. So, you don't struggle too much to access relevant vocab, and you show a pretty decent range. There are 2 problems though. However, when you don't, how to word this, when you don't go into detail, it makes me think that you might lack some vocab. So, when you talk about solutions and you say, oh, they should offer true solutions, it's like, oh, well, maybe she doesn't know the word refund, or maybe she doesn't know the word replace, or maybe she doesn't know the word to offer somebody an apology. So when you don't go into detail, it feels like, oh, that you're not using the vocab that is fully relevant here. Sometimes your high-level vocab, let's say high-level vocab, sounds slightly unnatural and gets in the way of more meaningful vocab. When you say, like, oh, they face struggle, or I give them a hand, it's like, oh, yeah, but in what situations? That's what I want vocab on, not just, they face difficult, they face struggles, or I give them a hand, but I want you to use vocab to help me to understand exactly in what situation. So again, the problem here is with detail. Grammatical range and accuracy, I'm also going to give a 6 for this. So these 3 things originally I thought may have been a 7. Now, in the speaking test, there was a problem with the audio. You can hear the problem with the audio in the test, but the problem was luckily Zoom has captured more than my headphones captured during the test, because during the test I couldn't hear, like, there was a lot of stuff that I couldn't make out, and so I thought that the candidate was, generally on topic, because the bits and pieces I could make out, I thought, yeah, that is on topic, and she is developing, probably enough for a 7. But now listening to it back, I do hear that lack of detail. And so that's why those scores for fluency and coherence and lexical resource have dropped from a 7 to a 6. Grammatical range and accuracy, 6. So, you show a nice range of sentences and use subordinating clauses well. As I grew up, I da 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 da. When I do this, I da 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 da. If I have a chance, I will da 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 da. So, you know, those sentences with two clauses. Great. However, there's a little bit of a lack of range. You know, most of the constructions you use, well, there are, you know, encourage somebody to do something great. There are some like B2-ish constructions in there, but most of the language you use, you know, that's covered in B1. There's nothing really that's unique to B2. There's no grammar point that's unique to B2, which is apparent in your language. Yeah, there's a bit of a lack of range. Importantly, you have systematic errors with singular and plural nouns, and also with words like this, that, these, those pre-modifiers, some other versus another. You kind of mix those up. You say like this activities or another problems. So those problems with singular versus plural nouns, for me, that would be a restriction. I couldn't award, I don't think I could award someone a band 7 if they regularly make mistakes with singular and plural. I think that is quite a basic concept in English. Pronunciation, I will say 7. So even though at times your speech can sound slightly mechanical, in general, you have pretty good intonation and an absolutely superb phonological range. The individual sounds, you know, the t, the the oo, the really, really nice with those individual sounds. You do have, though, systematic, or let's just say repeated mistakes with id words. You're always using id, depressed, stressed, purchased, compare rid or something like this. That is a noticeable issue, but for me that's not enough. That doesn't undermine all of the good points. So originally I thought, yeah, candidate probably does have enough for a 7, but now on reflection I have marked it down. It very rarely happens. Sometimes I mark it down like 0.5 band. It's very rare that I tell a candidate you have score and then my final score is 1 band higher. It might be half a band higher or lower, but usually not a whole band. But unfortunately, in this rare case, I am reducing the score to a band 6. But I do think this is an underperformance by the candidate. I think in terms of things to work on, areas of improvement, the first thing I would say is your first priority should always be answering the question directly and fully. That should always be your first priority, not what grammar can I activate, what vocab can I activate. The first priority should always be answering the question directly and fully. Second point, kind of connected to this, give specific details about things. If you mention, for example, that you help people with their problems, say what problems you're talking about. Yeah, it's a little bit lacking when people, oh, I often help people with their problems. What problems? Oh, you know, the problems they have at school. Okay, which problems they have at school? Oh, you know, when they have like problems with their homework. Okay, which subject? Give me details. So sometimes it is noticeable, and that lack of detail does affect your fluency, coherence, and your vocabulary. And learn about singular and plural nouns. And not only those singular and plural nouns, but also the words that we use with them. This, that, these, those, other, another, some other. Yeah, that's one thing that's noticeably weak in your grammar. A bit of stuff with word order. I think, B2. I think I think you have good control of B1 language, good control of B1 grammar, and I think, if even though you're probably studying at C1 level, I guess if I were you, I would, just focus on learning that B2 grammar, or maybe even looking back over B1. But yeah, certainly some B2 grammar, just to think about some constructions that might help to push your language a little bit further. You used present perfect continuous, that was good. A bit more of that might be nice. Some more range in tenses might be nice, especially in part two. You could have used like past continuous or past perfect. You could have used reported speech. You could have used a third conditional or something like this. And that type of stuff, B2 candidates start to try to apply some of that language in their speech. But I think, again, I want to repeat the point that, the candidate is young, the candidate is at school, and it's not easy. Not because a person doesn't know English. This IELTS test is difficult for any 16-year-old in the world to take. Yeah, and that's a thing to keep in mind. So to repeat, candidate Guli, your English is great, and you've made incredible progress in your life. To get to this level is a real amazing achievement. For me, this performance is closer to a band 6, but with a bit of work. I see no reason why you can't get band 7 pretty soon. I think probably if you took the test today or tomorrow. I think candidate actually took her test yesterday, but she is planning to do more IELTS tests in the future. I think in 3 months, a score of 7 is definitely not unrealistic. And I think you should push for that. In a year, I hope you'll get band 8. I really think you can get band 8 in speaking in a year, or even with like super hardcore work, maybe even in 6 months. So, candidate, your English language learning, you've done an amazing job so far. Keep it up. But for me, band 6. Okay. Please do let me know if you think I'm too generous, if I'm too harsh. Also, if you'd like your own free practice speaking test with feedback, or if you would like me to check your IELTS writing tasks, then information on how you can take part is given on my Telegram channel, Expert Examiner. A link to this channel is given in the description below. More videos coming soon, but for now, bye bye.